There's no reason why the public should pay for the streets in front of a data center.
This is the only public meeting that we know of that has been held to discuss this 1,700-acre land grab.
I'm in Hillsboro, Oregon, where residents are here to gather to protest a bill in the state legislature that would extend massive tax breaks to big tech companies and rezone nearly 2,000 acres of farmland for industrial development, despite opposition from local farmers and residents.
We'd be gutted of funding for schools, fire, all that stuff that we normally use our property tax system for.
I know a lot of you are here because you're wondering what to do about this. There's no easy way for the public to be heard directly.
The state senator who introduced the bill is Janine Sollman. Sollman unexpectedly showed up to the community meeting. Residents say that Sollman is advancing this legislation to benefit large agricultural landowners, real estate speculators, private equity firms like BlackRock, and big tech companies who all want to see more land developed for data centers.
Senator Sollman has been serving these landowners and their lobbyists for as long as she's been in the legislature and tried to bring bills to support their interests and their massive windfall. What's different now is I think that people are starting to wake up to it.
Listen to people, not money!
I want to be very clear with you. I had that language specifically written in that bill, that there is no standalone data centers and what that return on investment would mean for Oregon, and it is huge.
The bill prohibits data centers on the land except as an accessory to a related industrial tenant.
As I read it, that could be advanced manufacturing, support for advanced manufacturing, or even commercial. There is no limitation on the number of data centers, the acreage that they take up, or anything else within this area. And it makes me highly suspicious.
So to be clear, that has been accused of me about having this lobbying. Absolutely.
Senator Sollman, I've seen those emails.
You should make that public because I have not. Please.
Senator Sollman, you did not share your texts in that public records request.
We're concerned about all the tax breaks that are in her bill. The property tax is never going to be paid on any of that computer equipment in data centers, and that makes no sense.
The governor is part of the problem too. She introduced a bill to extend enterprise zone durations. These bills don't use the words data center, but anyone who understands policy knows that one of the primary beneficiaries will be data centers.
We're leading states down the wrong path. What I want to see is amendments to both bills that say no more use of any of our land that gets tax breaks for data centers.
The bill is expected to get an up or down vote soon, and organizers hope to convince enough lawmakers that this is not what residents want and vote it down.
Broadcasting from the formal state of Oregon in FEMA Region 10, it's your host, Joshua Michael.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Valentine's Day. My name is Joshua Michael, your host, Noncompliant America. Thank you very much for joining me today. We got a very special day. I got a special guest coming on the second segment. You guys have all heard him on here before, Ronnie Daniels. He has been over the target for quite some time. He's the guy that is standing up for all the Americans with what's going on with the tax bill, and so we're going to talk more about that. But I wanted to talk about this movement that's happening, and it's kind of sprouting everywhere. If you guys are seeing it, watching what's going on in Oregon, there's a resurrection happening across, I wouldn't say just Republicans, but across all party lines. People are realizing the big game that's being played on how we're being manipulated into paying more taxes, into giving up more of our rights, more of our freedoms, more of all of these things. And it's getting to that breaking point where I feel like there's a huge Overton window swing in the other direction, rejecting all of this stuff. And that's why I wanted to play that clip in the beginning about the people over in the Hillsboro area and talking about the impact of these data centers they're trying to put in everywhere. And the regime, the Kotek regime, continues to move this ball forward, and people are more and more concerned, not just for the environmental impacts that it's going to make, the water consumption, We don't have a lot of snowpack this year. There's a lot of water issues surrounding that. Power utility bills, it's in a lot of vague legislation. They're looking to move it into the 2027 legislative session for this. And the governor's appointed 7 members to her data center advisory committee, consisting mostly of climate and energy and industrial professionals, blah, blah, blah. So you know that they're just going to be able to push this through, similar to what they did with Nestlé and that catastrophe. I had an interesting conversation last night with a lady regards to Nestlé. And if you don't know, Nestlé came in years ago and they're sucking all the water out of the ground in Oregon, putting it in a plastic bottle and shipping it across the country. And so you wonder, when we don't have a normal rainy season and we don't have a normal snowpack, it's not just shifts in the ecosystem where sometimes we have drier summers and sometimes we have wet summers, sometimes we have wet winters and drier winters. It's not that simple. I think that the impact by sucking water out of the ground is going to have an impact on our society with how much water that we have. And so I think we're seeing that firsthand. Fortunately, I do think that there's going to be some snow coming next week. I'm not a weather forecaster, so I don't want to get too much into that. But that's really exciting because I like the snow. I like wintertime. I like that season, which creates the beautiful scenery, which a lot of people talk about how Oregon's one of the most beautiful states. I don't disagree. And a lot of it has to do with the water. But I'm starting to see a huge insurgence happening all over the state. People are getting really, really excited. Another thing that they're getting really excited about, and this is why that I decided that we're going to be doing a governor's debate for the Republican candidate, and that's going to be April 2nd. Please mark your calendars. This is going to be a very exciting event. We're doing things a little bit differently. And if you remember last week, we were talking about how the format is going to play out. Well, I've had some time to kind of vet out the process and see how are we going to create the most transparent, open debate. And the way that we're doing it is you're allowed to submit questions, and that's going to go all the way until the week before the debate. And then we're going to open that up for voting to where you'll be able to go back to that portal and vote on your top 2, top 1. Haven't decided if we're going to do 2 or 1 questions. Then we'll be able to take those questions that you want to ask these potential candidates that are going to be your representative as governor for the state of Oregon. You're going to be able to have an opportunity to have that question asked to them. And the public's going to vote on the question, which means that it's going to be, what's the most important thing that we want to have asked and addressed right now? And I think that's important because we're sick of just the curated conversations and the blanket statements and the blanketed conversations through these processes. And so this is going to provide an opportunity for you to be able to take part in the conversation and take part and get involved in this process. And the reason that I decided to do that is because of things like what's going on in Hillsboro, what's going on in Eastern Oregon, what's going on in Southern Oregon. There is a huge insurgence happening, and there is a golden opportunity to actually get a Republican governor. I see it, I can feel it, and it seems to be the time. And the other thing, and I was talking about this last year, the Trump administration has had to sift through all of its stuff the first year. But I remember saying that they are eventually going to take the voter ID issue and create so much public political pressure that it's going to shift. And that's the only way that we can really save this country. If we don't have free and fair elections, If we don't have that, then we don't have a system at all. You don't have a voice. You don't have anything. I don't have to tell my listeners. You guys know. So that, to me, aside from the border crisis and some things going on in the economy, which he's been doing, yada, 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 the voter ID, in-person voting, getting rid of the machines, having oversight, having transparency is one of the top issues. So Trump has made a pledge in a post on Truth Social yesterday. We can't let Democrats get away with no voter ID any longer. Even Democrat voters agree, 85%, that there should be voter ID. This is an issue that must be fought, and we must fight it now. We have to do it before the midterms. This is the most important thing. He said he's going to sign an executive order mandating voter ID nationwide for the 2026 midterms in the Save America Act, if the Save America Act fails. So this is something to celebrate. This is great news. It'll force the Democrats to battle voter ID in the courts. 85-15 issue with the American people. It is actually genius, because now you're going to have the Democrats that are going to be fighting to not have voter ID, and they're going to be doing it in the courts. This is the type of offensive things that we need, not just nationwide, but also in the state. This is how the Republicans win for 2026, for the midterms in Oregon. These are the offensive positions that we need to take. And that's why we're doing this debate. That's why we're bringing in these people. Because we want to have a real conversation, but we also need to get them on the offense rather than the defense. In Oregon, we're always playing defense. Defense. Oh, guys, hey, we moved the football back to the 50-yard line. We were on the 35, but now we're on the 50. So let's all celebrate that. No. How about we get a touchdown? How about we take the ball all the way? You know? And so one of the people that I think that's really hitting the ground running with that sentiment, with the offensive position, is David Medina. And I'm going to have him on, I think, next week and talk a little bit more about that very thing and what his future is for the state. And getting and setting those conversations. I listened to him on Jeff Krupp's show, I think on Thursday on Political Coffee, and he did a really good job. And I want to bring him in. I want to bring all the candidates in. We're going to have them trickling in as we go. But the interesting thing is we, the people, you, the individual, can set the tone of what the representative that's running, what the candidate's running, what kind of things are they going to be talking about. And so the premise of this debate is to be able to open that portal up. The debate's going to be April 2nd. It's going to be at the Grand Theater, downtown Salem. Doors open at 5 p.m. and the debate starts at 6 p.m. We're going to be live streaming it on all the social media platforms. You can go to @noncompliantAF on X, noncompliantAF on YouTube, noncompliantAF on Rumble, all the major streaming platforms, and as well as we're going to have much more information on that as things to come. Now, I was trying to have the questionnaire form launched by this weekend, but we have a couple different technical things that we're working out. We just want to make sure that we keep everything open and transparent. So they're working diligently through this weekend to get those final little pieces done, but I imagine that it should be done by Monday. So it'd be Monday the 16th. We should be launching that, probably do a hard launch on Tuesday, and you'll be able to open questions. But tickets are on sale right now. You can go to aftontickets.com/Oregon Voice Debate. That's aftontickets.com/Oregon Voice Debate. So you can go there, get your tickets, get it reserved. We have reserved seating up front. We have reserved seating on the balcony, and then just general admission. And if you're interested in any sponsorship on getting behind probably one of the biggest debates that are going to be happening this cycle, feel free to reach out, jm@noncompliantamerica.com. We'll be back on the other side.
All right, Ronnie.
Well, Kanishiwa, you need Jesus. 30 years ago, you was cutting 5.2 billion board feet of wood, $5,325 a kid. You was number 4 to number 10 to 2010. What's happened by 2025? Your budget, federal budget, was less than 9% of federal money. You're up to 78.4 to 82.3. And you're gonna ask me to give up more damn money? I'm broke. I'm a broke niglet. Sorry. But at the same time, you cannot go through and keep asking for programs. You gotta, first of all, clean up your budget like I have to. You gotta prioritize your economics. You got to be held accountable to the people, not parties or anything else. And if you want to talk about money wasting, let's talk about the Medicare, Medicaid given to the illegal aliens as they're defied by the U.S. Constitution. Over $11.7 billion out of your budget since 2017 has paid for that. People is tired. I talked to over 6,000 people since 2021. Just 400 just in the last October. They're broke. I'm tired of seeing my homeless being priced out of their house, sleeping in their cars, sleeping in RVs. And yet we're enabling through these nonprofits $500 million since 2021 through COVID funding and everything else for drug addiction, and yet nothing is resolved. You became a goddamn democracy of entitlement. Y'all need to get fiscal in order.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Ronnie, it's good to have you back, my friend. How are you?
Well, to God be the glory. I'm very recharged. The lion has brought out grizzly bear claw since last September when I went to Texas, because when you can have natural gas flooding around the Houston Channel, Texas Channel, look no bigger than a water well house, up to 30 to 60 megs of power, and their power rates, based on my friend has a 2,000 square foot house, is less than $115 because they have 28 different systems. That is open, free market. The lines and the natural gas is considered community. What's wrong with that situation? And you wonder why we cannot attract jobs in this country. Why businesses like Dutch Brothers, Intel, and various other places I watched and helped build 30 years ago, their acid plastic return ventilation systems is gone. And yet we want to achieve the fake dream of climate change. But yet people's utilities in the state of Oregon in the last 4 years has been double to double and a half on 2.3 kilowatts of power. It could be worse. You could be in Modesto, California, paying up to $525 in non-heatful season of Stockton, California, and Modesto.
Yeah, and that kind of goes with the beginning of the segment that we were talking about. You weren't here yet, about Cotec creating a panel to study data centers and add more data centers to these places. We played a video of Hillsboro, that a community meeting they did, I think back in November, on trying to stop these giant centers from happening. It's going to impact the power grid exponentially. And there's virtually no accountability, and there's nothing that the people can do besides stand up. There's not even a traditional forum in which they're able to address this problem. They're kind of community collaborating, trying to raise awareness to this. They're not even going to create jobs, folks. They're not even going to create jobs. These data centers, preliminarily, they'll have jobs, but after that, you're basically creating the end of your future. And if you think that these AI models and AI systems are going to be your friend, they're simply making you obsolete. They're trying to build a world that is non-human, and we have to stop this. If we don't get involved and get more involved and get behind these people and hold the elected officials accountable, just like you did, you're going to these meetings. What's your overall sentiment? What's the boots on the ground? What's the vibe going on with this tax referendum that's going on?
I just came from Albany yesterday, and as far south as Springfield. The younger generation are as mad as hell. Their money is tight. They want to buy the American dream. Even at the cue ball I met, talked to young generations, and I didn't know that. Some of them I used to play basketball at the Kroc Center, addressed and seen his videos. And I give God all the glory first.
Yeah, so when you're talking to these young people, what are they saying? What's their main or top two concerns that they're actually focused on when you're having conversations with them?
Affordability, making it to where they can rent their own apartment or the difference compared to 50 years ago, where you might have made $335 an hour, but you were still able to rent an apartment. You can make $2,000 a month, $2,500 a month or more, and still can't afford your own apartment. You're still living in the nest. And the biggest thing that they're concerned about is when you go through and when they sign a petition, it says November 3rd is the voting date. It should stay that way because it's been that way for over 100 years since we were the first to start doing the initiative process in 1921. And yet, to have these guys act like they are gods, they are kings. We are not a kingdom states of America. We are the United States of America, and we need to stop listening. People need to, your more important thing that I will say is when you submit and you say a no on these testimonies, when you say that and you go and you address your grievances peacefully, it is effective. Just on that day, we had over 3,000 testimonies to 94.
Wow, that's incredible. So people are going there, they're showing up, they're testifying. What can we do to our elected officials that are in office? What can people do to make sure, and that brings to a better point, what can the Republicans do right now to stop this thing and to stop them from trying to ram this thing into the May ballot?
They need to take their butts out of the building. What good is a chair and you want to be Pharisees and want to appease Caesar and Jezebels, but yet you claim you care for the people? That is two-faced. God do not give you two choices. You only got one choice, God or the devil, or liberty or tyranny. The will is people is given free will and choice by your creator of your beliefs. But if you sit silent, do you want to see what happened 80 years ago, like my foster father, Raymond Lamar Lindsay, who flew 124 missions in Auschwitz, Eastern France, Hungary? Do you want to be part of that? Or are you going to step up?
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back, folks. Joshua Michael, Noncompliant America. I got Ronnie Daniels in the house today, and we are talking about the things going on with this tax bill that they're trying to drive down our throats and move it to May. What can the Republicans do to stop it? What do they have planned? So I want to talk about Ronnie, who you think the key players are involved in this push in the legislation. Who are the main people that are backing the actual people in stopping this thing?
I will say it's Dwayne Yunker out of Grass, Oregon. Very good representative. I would say the main one is Representative Ed Diehl. He is willing to step out of his chair and do God's and liberty's will for the state of Oregon, for the Oregonians, because he was the one, while I was doing Christmas trees, because nobody wants to work, down in California, especially in the West area, the Bay Area, I had to ask Jesus to put coals on my tongue several times. So I'm tired of George Jefferson mindset at black folks. But but at the same time, when you get 193,000 signatures in 13 days, that's more than any initiative process in my lifetime. And I just turned 29 and a half times 2 this past Wednesday. That means I'm 59 for you people that need to count. We must be proactive. We cannot sit on the sidelines. Do you like your power rates going up the next $300 to $500? Do you like your insurance on your vehicles going up or healthcare going up? Because we're enabling invaders, but we're rewarding through the back door. And the Republican Party needs to make a decision. You either work for the people or you need to step the hell out of the way.
Well, and Ed Diehl is, I think he's proposing a lawsuit if they're going to try to push this through and move that to May. Did I hear that correctly?
I believe you did hear that correctly. Not just him, but he mentioned it in his public hearing. And because the people is tired. Various other people, the Taxpayers Association of Oregon wants to get involved. And, when you got other people, former Republicans like Jeff Croft in some cases, and other good, and I'd even like to say that if I were to talk to some of the good hardcore Republicans of the 90s, they would stand, and they said this needs to go. Bill Sizemore was a good man, but look what happened. Unfortunately, the devil worn his armor down. And we need people like him to come back out and show the history of Oregon and the big secret people. Public unions, not the craftsmanship unions, are trying to destroy from within and profit at the same time.
Well, that reminds me of the HB 1599, the gas tax, trying to move it to May, unconstitutional. Here's a clip of Ed Diehl talking about it. Take a listen.
The bill just passed committee last night to move from November to May. This is outrageous. You guys should be outraged. The referendum, when those signatures were verified, the message was clear. This is in the hands of the people. It's not in the legislature's hands anymore. But they are coming back and they are inserting themselves to move the date. This has never happened in the history of our state. They've never moved a referendum that was scheduled in November and moved it to May. They'll say, oh, we've done this before. BS. It has never happened before like this. They're not only moving the date, they're rewriting the rules. They're rewriting the referendum process, and they're taking over the writing of the explanatory statement for the bill that they want, and we're refusing. They're saying they're going to write the explanatory statement. There's no way. There's no way. We had over 4,000, about 5,000 people write in opposed to this bill. Overwhelming opposition. They're doing it again to us, guys. They're doing it again. We cannot let them get away with it. Urge you to continue to write your legislators. Tell them to oppose Senate Bill 1599. It's got to get passed on the floor of the House and the Senate.
Okay, so there's Ed Diehl leading the charge, exposing this thing. He's kind of playing. He's wearing a lot of hats right now. He's running for governor. He's active in the House, pushing back against this thing, moving this thing forward, exposing it. And what a golden opportunity for this momentum to happen, to move right into the justification for needing a Republican governor. The Democrats are absolutely out of control with running the state into the ground, and it just seems like they just don't care. Like, who are they working for? Like, what's their overall agenda, do you think, Ronnie?
Overall agenda is to, just like F.A. Hayek written on The Road to Serfdom, to keep everybody poor. Just like George Orwell's 1984. And I'm going to go back for a second. We have lost almost 19 to 20,000 megs of power with the last 4 dams being taken out between California and Oregon. So what do you think they want? We don't want you to be able to farm. We don't want you to be able to retain self-sustainability. We do not want you to be independent. We want you to become needy sheep. Homeless population in the state of Oregon, just this year was announced 3 weeks ago, up 35%. Oh, but you know what I see? I'm going to play Columbo for you. I asked a question at a state meeting, but overall, they want to serfdom. They'll use evil and claim that they're doing good. They'll go through and claim that they have the children's benefit in your interests by dumbing them down.
Well, isn't that interesting how the homeless population is increasing when there's so much money that's allotted for that quote unquote problem, yet the problem seems to continue and it keeps perpetually getting worse. Where's all that money going? Are we having another Minnesota situation with misappropriation of funds that the state's been doing in Oregon? Where is that money going? What is it being used for? And clearly the track record, it's not benefiting or actually helping if the problem is getting worse.
The money is going on a basis of three things. One, since you tied law enforcement's hands in 2021 with Senate Bill 48 and House Bill 1510, my great example is I had somebody that was following on a semi, clipped my truck at the rest stop, and they got a Class B CDL with a 44-foot trailer on a pickup, and they said, oh, there's nothing they can do?
Wow.
Bernie Sugar, when you got defeatism starting to play, when law enforcement can't get their calls answered because a lot of them not going into it, you got 400 less officers, 700 less officers in Portland, you allow lawlessness to grow. And if you try to do what's right, they want to punish you, but we're going to keep rewarding the crackhead. And the money, it's all tied. Instead of fixing the problem, addressing the whole health of the situation, it's a revolving cash flow. And when you got 53 embassies around this country, especially in Minnesota, at least 2 or 4 in Oregon, by Mexico under Prime Minister Sheinbaum, President Sheinbaum of Mexico, the money cycles around forwards, back and through. When you have a PAC that I'm looking at, and they receive from one candidate for payroll, and then all of a sudden an extra $1,900 above that because that same PAC has a plus on it.
Yep.
I don't know, I'm just asking questions, but this is all the part of the road to serfdom, the part of look at the shiny object while they go through and shackle you, just like what they're doing in England, like what they're doing in Germany. Take down productivity, and we will price you out so we can put you in the local gulags if you're lucky to have a house.
Yeah. Well, and I just saw this come across my desk the other day. Republicans, there's 24 House seats that they have no candidates for as of February 9th. 24 House seats. No Republicans. Districts that have no Republican candidates running: District 5, portion of Jackson County; District 8, portion of Lane County; District 10, Lincoln and portions of Benton and Lane counties; District 14, District 16, District 20, 27, 28, 29, 30, 34, 35, 36, 38, 39, 41, 42, 44, portions of Multnomah County; 46, portions of Multnomah County. It goes on and on. Gresham, portions of Deschutes County, portions of Bend, 54, 53. All these districts, there is not one Republican running. And it's just, you guys are all complaining about the supermajority, and you wonder how we fight it. If you or anybody, this list is posted on my X account, if you or anybody you know in these areas or know somebody that is interested in running, reach out to me personally. I'm powered up and teamed up with a group called Operation 1776. It has the infrastructure and the template for campaigns. We can help you. If you don't know how to run a campaign, anything like that, we have a team that will help you with little to no funding needed. You could be a very staunch competitor in these races and at least give it a try. But we all have to get involved and do that. 24 districts is absolutely insane.
I'm going to be blunt right now. Rawr! The bear claw's coming out on the situation. These areas, that's probably a lot of them in red areas. The defeatism been planted because we have no leadership at the state or at the national with John Gruters. I'm tired. How in that Sam Houston hell you lose in Virginia? You allow a CIA like Starmer take over Virginia, and you just sit there and be quiet and act like a dang emotional support dog? People, this is your country. You have a skin in the game if you don't make a stand. If you live in these red areas or even blue areas, hey, let's go back 4 years ago. You had a truck driver come speak at the house in New Jersey on $125 worth of Dunkin' Donuts. But he talked to over 10,000 people. He had a groundwork on the ground. You can't use tech or one-eyed devil scream think you're gonna make it. God bless.
All right, stay with us. We got one more segment coming up.
To be bragging, they never catching us slacking. Me and my buddy, we working hard for this money.
This here. All right, welcome back, Noncompliant America. I'm your host, Joshua Michael. Thanks for joining. Make sure to follow me on X at noncompliantAF. It's the best way to get a hold of me. We got Ronnie Daniels in the house today. We are talking about the state of Oregon and what people can do. And I think one of the main things that is being misled in the conversation that's happening amongst Oregonians is how do we impact the youth? How do we reach out to them? And this is all why I'm absolutely behind the David Medina campaign, because I think there is a huge opportunity to supercharge the base. He's got a huge youthful following, and we're going to bring them to the conversation on April 2nd at the Grand Theater, downtown Salem, for the Oregon governor's debate for the Republicans. Primarily, it's going to consist of youth, college kids, you know, the disenfranchised, the lost generation that is virtually nowhere in regards to these decisions. And we're going to bring them to the table. If you know anybody that meets that demographic, that's interested, that don't know, maybe they're on the fence, maybe they have a defeatism mentality, get them in touch with us. We have sponsorships that can sponsor their tickets. They don't have to pay, but we want them to be involved. We want to hear from them. They're welcome to submit questions, welcome to participate. We have a whole section just specific to college-age kids and high schoolers even if they can't vote yet. We want them to come be a part of the conversation and know that we have their best interest and are looking out for them as well. And that reminds me of a video. Ronnie, I want to play this video for you and tell me what you think. And take a listen here.
9 to 5 job, 9 to 5 job, 9 to 5 job. Everybody here works a 9 to 5 job. And they have to wake up every single day at 6 o'clock, eat breakfast, go to work, come back, and then they sleep. And it goes on repeat for the next 50 years of their life, right? They just keep on doing that every single day. No purpose, bro. And this is going to be you. And I'm being completely real with you guys. This is going to be you if you don't start looking in right now and today. So what is it going to be? What exactly is it going to be? Are you going to end up like the 99.9% of the people? Or are you going to be the 0.1% that actually takes action and locks in?
So, what do you think of that video?
That's happening right now. I can tell you, when I look backwards as a foster child, my Marcus Paul Jones, Ben Kiefer, and those two, my first older foster brothers, and Jack Pust, Jr., they was able by turn 19 to buy a house at 8.5% to 10.5% interest. They start having their families. They achieved the American dream before they turned 35. And they had 10-15-year loans. And they was able to do that.
But that's the sentiment. So that's the sentiment of the youth. Mm-hmm. And that's the defeatism. And they're longing for something. They want some remnant of hope. They want some remnant of, hey, if I'm going to commit to this, I need to have some type of assurances that I'm not just going to be stuck on a hamster wheel. This is the sentiment of the younger people. They're not buying into the American dream. They're not buying into any of this. They don't believe when the politicians say these things and do these things. That is their sentiment. And so we have to understand, one, we got to get off our phones way more, pay attention to our kids, and listen to what they're saying. They have a stake. It's their future that you're choosing to ignore. And so I think it's super important to reach out to them and to let them know there is an opportunity, there is hope, there is a future. But there's so much defeatism that we have to overcome. This video is a prime example. I mean, the guy is literally saying, I'm not going to go get a job and build a career because it's worthless. They're going to have layoffs. They're going to cut me off. After 15 years, I'm going to lose my job. If I pay into my pension's going to get leveraged by the stock market. I won't have anything. I won't even be able to afford to live. So I might as well just live right now. And I'm happy not buying a house, and I'm not going to have kids, and I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to live my life. And that's a lot of the people that I talk to, kind of how they feel. And so back to the point of this event of why I think it's so important is because I think this is going to be the opportunity to show them that there are people that care. We do listen, and we actually want people that are going to represent the people. And all the good things that Ed Diehl's doing and the attention that David Medina's doing and trying to bridge that gap, bringing him to the table, it's very, very important that we have these conversations. And let's be real about it. Let's not pretend that the kids need to get on board with us. We can meet them in the middle. We can have conversations with them, see what they're interested in, see what they're wanting to do. What does their future look like? And I'm seeing them go more toward a traditional value system. They want it, but they just don't see it or they don't believe it. So my challenge to all of you listening is that reach out to them, have a conversation with them, see where they're at, and listen. I think that's so important, to listen. And we can't do business as usual. We can't do all the traditional routes that the previous generations have done. It hasn't been working. It doesn't work. And so we have to change it up. And I'm super excited for this year because I think I think we're at that point.
Mm-hmm. I'll tell you something else. I know everybody's working. One thing, if you got children, you should make sure you monitor. I don't care, not just by text. Look at the teachers, look at the principals that's grooming your kids. Because what they're doing right now through the unions in some of these school districts is the brown shirt revolution of Italy. Marxism in front of your gosh darn eyes. My most important thing, you want to sit down, I encourage you to sit down one day a week. Have your children, godchildren, mentor kids, watch the American Heritage series on YouTube and understand the true foundations of a country. Why there's over 50,000 Bible verses written on their correspondence that give this country a Judeo-Christian value in 1896, a constitutional republic, not a democracy. Stop listening to the devil's repeat and defeatist attitude. You must also make sure to be involved. Like I said, if you just say no on the situation, email or call and blow their phone up, send each one of these senators, representatives of the Democrat Party and some of the leaderships of the Republicans and at the ORP level, tell them how you feel that you need, because right now they went from 43.7% in 2020 to 23.77%. But what I find out, the diamond is there, baby. But you must knock out and not reach out to all, just like Jesus asked him. You reach out and you feed your sheep with history and accountability. You love your sheep by standing with them, uplift them, calling light to light and dark to dark. But at the same time, you protect the sheep, especially our little ones, because they are our future. We do not want to get the 67% from 35 on down to 17 saying females that don't want to have children. Because what does God say? Be fruitful and multiply. And the only way you can multiply is when you have a constitutional republic built on Judeo-Christian foundations and know your history. And you work on it. You might disagree with people, but you'll come together for the balance of doing what is right. You do not weaken when the wind blows. When the wind blows, you bear down and you get the ship up an extra notch. You go through and you be like a kite. You flow with the wind, but you control which direction that kite flies. And the most important thing is, don't forget where you come from. Do not dishonor your grandparents or parents that give you the legacy.
Well
if we
said.
can keep it.
Well said, Ronnie. Thank you very much for joining me today. Noncompliant America. Let's get involved. Let's make a difference. Thanks for your time.